Video games are great! They're also expensive. But right here, exclusively for you, we are prepared to reveal 10 excellent games that are also totally free. It's okay, you don't have to thank me. Let's get right into it. Presented in no particular order, here are 10 of the best free games on PC. Confession time. I have not played Dwarf Fortress. I ran it only long enough to capture footage for this feature. I may never play Dwarf Fortress. It's perhaps the deepest, most complex game ever created. It simulates a procedurally generated fantasy world down to the most minute of details. Your task is ostensibly to lead a band of dwarves to underground riches, but you have to manage the mood and well-being of your party, which is affected by their health, hunger, relationships, the availability of medical care, varied food, and opportunities for higher education. Maybe they're just upset because they're a bit wet. Their moisture is, after all, modeled down to the individual limb. The only shorthand the game offers is in its simple ASCII-based graphics. It's been in continuous development for over a decade and will likely continue to be iterated upon indefinitely. One half of the game's brotherly dev team suggests that it might be ready for a 1.0 release sometime in 2031. Don't play Cookie Clicker. It will ruin your life. There's this nice, delicious-looking cookie. You click it to get another cookie. You can buy cursors to click the cookie for you, then hire grandmas to bake more cookies, maybe build a cookie farm or two. You'll innocently leave it running in the background, maybe just to check it out while you do real work. And suddenly you'll find that you've lost a weekend, a month, your entire life to the steady, satisfying process of watching numbers go up. Hundreds of cookies, thousands of cookies, millions of cookies. You alone can stop yourself. You alone can avoid unleashing the cookie apocalypse. In is a tough-as-nails platformer with ultra-tight controls and single-screen levels. Your little ninja dude's movement is all based on momentum and physics, letting you run up ramps for longer jumps, slide down slopes to avoid deadly falls, and wall jump your way to victory. Or, more often, defeat. You will die over and over again, constantly watching your little ninja dude's limbs blasted to the far corners of the screen. But it's your fault, every time. You could have nudged yourself just a pixel to the left or right. One more try and you've got it. In is a flash game, but it's more fully featured than a lot of retail releases. There are hundreds of levels, 1 and 2 player modes, user-created levels. In++, an even better edition with a truly staggering amount of content, will be hitting Steam in the near future, but there is nothing wrong with this original free release. There's not a lot I can say about Gravity Bone that won't ruin the experience. It's a narrative-driven game built in the Quake 2 engine. It features a surreal, absurdist world of spies and espionage. It will take you less than 15 minutes to play. But what a fun, stylish 15 minutes they are. In some ways, Errado does the open-world western better than Red Dead Redemption. Certainly not in terms of scope or cinematography or storytelling, but in terms of openness. Errado is a sandbox tale of frontier revenge. A bandit killed your family and you're on a quest to avenge them. As you complete quests for folks, they'll give you details like he wore a flat hat or he wore light pants, which will slowly narrow down the possible options of who the killer might be. Alternatively, you can choose to accuse whoever you want. You can pull a gun in any conversation and NPCs will react dynamically based on the situation. You can shoot anybody, from bandits to bartenders to saloon girls, and watch how the world reacts. The double-barreled edition on Steam is a bit more fully featured, but all the game's charm and unique mechanics are here in the free original. In Frog Fractions, you play as a frog that sits on a lily pad and eats bugs. When you eat the bugs, fractions appear. It presents itself as a 90s-style learning game, but that's not what Frog Fractions is. It goes to places you don't expect. Let me be clear, even if you're expecting your expectations to be subverted, Frog Fractions goes to places you will not expect. But I'm not really here to talk about that. I want to talk about Frog Fractions 2. It raised $70,000 on Kickstarter and should be out now, but nobody can find it. We need more people searching. Play Frog Fractions. Help us find Frog Fractions 2. Cave Story was a Metroidvania before enough other games riffed on the Metroid and Castlevania formula for that to even be a thing. It was an indie game before anybody realized people would pay money for them. It's also a delightful, charming adventure that should be played by anyone with any nostalgia for 8 and 16-bit gaming. You can guess the basics by just a quick glance at the game. You jump around platforms, explore labyrinthine caverns, and gather upgrades that let you reach new areas. It's a smart riff on the classic adventures of years past, and it's now become a classic in its own right. You probably already know about Spelunky by virtue of its 2012 remake, but the free 2008 original is perhaps responsible for the rise of the roguelike. In this case, we ask, what if it was like Rogue, but also Mario? Spelunky is a tight, tough platformer with procedurally generated levels of increasing difficulty, in which you guide an Indiana Jones-esque adventurer to ancient treasures and secrets. It's got platforming as precise as any of its inspirations and enough varied mechanics to ensure that anytime things go bad, they go as wildly off the rails as they possibly can. It's worth playing in any edition you can find it. Super Crate Box is among the best arcade-style score attacks that money can buy, except, obviously, it's free. The enemies behave like in Mario Bros., not Super Mario Bros., just plain Mario Bros. They come from the top of the screen, run back and forth across a series of descending platforms, and if they reach the bottom, they come back meaner and angrier. So you want to shoot them. Crates appear randomly around the levels that give you new weapons. Simple, right? Well, not really. See, those crates are also your score. So whether you've got a weapon you love or hate, you'll have to switch it out in a few seconds regardless to keep scoring points. You have to constantly change and adapt to the hand you've been dealt. Oh, and you've got persistent weapon unlocks that carry over across multiple runs. Good luck with ever playing another game again. The definition of an oldie but a goodie. Beneath a Steel Sky is the result of a collaboration between Revolution Software, the creators of the Broken Sword series, and Dave Gibbons, the legendary comic artist who illustrated Watchmen. The result is a dark cyberpunk story that ranks among the greatest point-and-click adventures ever devised, fully voice-acted and beautifully illustrated. Some of the dialogue feels a bit corny now, 20 years later, but make no mistake, this is a classic that deserves to be held in the same company as Monkey Island, King's Quest, and The Longest Journey. And it's been free for a very, very long time. If you've got any interest in adventure games, you should play Beneath a Steel Sky. And there you have it. 10 of the best free games on PC. Of course, there are far more than 10 great free games out there, and you can check out a much more extensive list over at GameWatcher.com.